Good morning and welcome to the May edition of our Startup Resources series. We're thrilled to have you back with us. If you are series subscribers and if you are new to this series, we also welcome you. As you all know, this is our opportunity to share with you the latest startup resources available across the state as you work with your various startup clients. And we hope that you find some great information, some excellent experts to connect with, and the ability to make some wonderful referrals when appropriate for your startup founders. I'm Lisa Bajornis, Executive Director of our Innovation Hubs with KSTC, and in partnership with our friends over at Team Kentucky at the Cabinet for Economic Development, we're delighted to bring you this monthly series. We, as usual, have an amazing topic that we're going to talk about today that everybody can take advantage of. And we've got Awesome Inc. here for our hub highlight, and we'll round it out with a rundown of the latest events that are happening throughout the state. So again, settle in, welcome everyone, and we will go ahead and get started here. Couple of announcements, just a reminder. You and any of your network are certainly welcome to go back to previous recordings of our Startup Resources series. We keep these in a library on the KSTC website. You can go over there to kstc.com, click on our initiatives, click on the hubs, and you'll just scroll right down and you'll see each monthly recording of our series there. So feel free to go back to a past topic or share that with anybody in your network if that's appropriate. And again, this will probably be the last time I'll make mention of this, but you're all here, so you have found it. We do have a new registration link so that you can get to this particular series. Everyone does have to re-register for this series using this new link from here forward. So you're here, you're in the right place. Glad to have you. All right, with that, I'm going to jump right into it. We are so excited to have Garrett Fahrbach with us, who is Program Director with Awesome Inc. in the Lexington region. Garrett is sadly leaving our Kentucky ecosystem. We're sad to see him go, moving down south to Nashville for a new opportunity, new chapter in his life. But before Garrett gets away, we are really excited to have him here to be able to talk about the amazing Awesome Fellowship program. And again, I want to make very clear, this is an excellent accelerator style program available to anyone within the state. We have not had an overview of this particular program in this series. So before Garrett leaves us, we're excited to have him give us a rundown. We know that you all have startup clients that are interested in how to accelerate their business, looking for that next level of growth, how to make those strategic connections. And so Garrett's going to provide us with a nice look at how the Awesome Fellowship supports early stage founders through mentorship, customer discovery, accountability, community, and of course, some excellent founder-facing programs that they offer. So he's going to give us a good snapshot of what the Awesome Fellowship program is, who it's for, some of the key benefits from there, and really how founders can strengthen their applications as they prepare for growth. So I'm going to stop sharing so that, Garrett, you can pull up any slides that you'd like to share. And just while you're doing that, you know, as Kentucky continues to build a stronger innovation ecosystem, we want to encourage you to look at this particular opportunity for your founders, for startups, community partners across your region that could really benefit from this valuable resource. So we're excited to learn more about the Awesome Fellowship program. And I know you are trying to share your screen. We don't see your slides yet.
It says it's currently being paused.
It's paused.
It
All
is.
right. I hope it will unpause.
Well, I'll stop and I'll share one more time. And if we need to figure something out, then we can easily do that. Looks like it's still Yeah, Lisa, unfortunately, I'm getting the same error that it's being paused. I think it's from your end, maybe.
Okay. I'm hoping that Christine, who is our tech guru in the background there, is able to look into that.
Yeah,
Um,
worst case scenario, I send it over to you, but I've got so much of this stuff
yes, well,
downclad.
absolutely. For those who don't know, Garrett has been program director of the Awesome Fellowship for a number of years. He was very fortunate to come up right under Keith McMunn and take the
Hmm.
realm, the reins, if you will, and take this whole program forward. So again, ideal for when your startup founders are looking for that next level of growth. And Christine's going to have you try it again once
Cool.
more.
We're just building suspense. That's all we're doing right here.
Yeah,
We love this. We love this. Okay.
that's great.
Christine, if we're good. I'm still getting the pause thing. Yeah, worst case scenario, I can send it to you. But Lisa,
Yep,
I
go
can,
ahead.
okay, I'll send it to you guys. But I did go a little bit sentimental on this one. So obviously, I'm moving on from our team after almost an 8-year tenure. So what I did is I got a bunch of slides to share a lot of stories, and I thought that would be a really nice way to just give maybe a more conceptual or more experiential walkthrough of not just our program, but a lot of the ways that founders have been served. And we'll go from there if a need be. And I can always jump back to slides. But one thing I'll say to start is that we've got a pipeline that we have taken a while to iron out. And now that we've got it in place, we feel pretty confident that this is, at least for our team where we are, it's a good way to meet people, bring them in, both the physical front door that I'm looking at, and then also a digital door with some different intake forms and some programs. But we have a couple of different stages where we're going to be assisting entrepreneurs to come through and get their experience of being with Awesome and learning. Okay, well, you know what, Lisa, let's call an audible. I'm going to let's see if this works. I don't know what it is. It's just making for a better story. How about that? So let me okay, I see Christine's pulling it up, but I'm gonna see if this works one last time. And I'll share it without my presenter notes because we don't need those. Okay, see if this works. Yeah, unfortunately, I still got the screen sharing being paused. Not sure what's going on there. But Christine, if you want to pull up those slides and I cue you, that also is not an issue whatsoever. But the main thing I'll say, Lisa, is with a lot of the slides, there can be stories, and I think you've been to a couple of our demo days at this point where we walk
Absolutely.
through our portfolio. And so it's going to be a lot of looking back from when we started in 2013, into 2013, 2014, and seeing companies and just a lot of pictures from different events, some accolades that founders have been able to gather. And so it's going to be a really unique walkthrough. But yeah, unfortunately, it looks like we're still having some issues. I will definitely will be sharing this
Yeah, we've got the
for
slides
people.
up, so I think
Okay.
maybe Christine has been able to do that. So
Okay.
if you want to cue her, we'll just keep rolling.
Cool. Yeah, Christine, if you can go to that the slide number 2 where oh, looks like screen sharing. Sweet. Let's go full screen. Okay. I think we're rock and rolling. You guys see my screen now? Awesome. Okay. Well, here goes nothing. Sweet. So jumping right in. Cool. So here's our startup pipeline. I mentioned we had a couple of intake forms. I'm not going to belabor everything, but one of the main points where we see and work with entrepreneurs is our Five Across pitch competition. A little plug for talking later, Lisa, is Five Across, at least for the last 5 to 6 years, has been a strong feeder into the fellowship where we will be spending the bulk of our time today. So Five Across, we're looking for folks that don't just have an idea, but they actually have a product, a business that they have customers, even a few. People are using their product, their service, their goods to garner feedback to then improve to later. And then for the fellowship, as we dive in, that is where we are looking to work with founders whose exclusive focus is the venture that they have been building. So one thing, as I'm going to have the story come to a screeching halt, it's to go forward. We need to go back and actually learn the story of Awesome Inc. and why the fellowship became our flagship entrepreneurship program. So everyone open your time capsule. We're going from 2026 back to about 2003. And I'm going to blitz through this intentionally. I'll be sending these slides out, but I think without some of this foundational understanding of Awesome Inc., there could be a lot lost. So Brian Rainey, his brother Matt, or his brother Justin, one of his best friends Matt, and then one of our co-founders Luke Murray. These guys all went to UK. The long story short, back when ebooks weren't a thing, people bought physical textbooks. They realized that you would go to the bookstore and just get ripped off. You buy a book for 100, 200 bucks, you open it 6 times and it appreciates in over 90% of, perceived value. So they realized that, oh, I have this issue, a bunch of our students do. What if we somehow made a platform that, well, if I bought my Organic Chem 2 book for 125 bucks, if I sell it to you for 90, sure, I lost money, but I'm getting most of it back. You're happy because you got a deal. Bada bing, bada boom. So they built this company called bookexchange.com. And the thing is, as we're talking about entrepreneurs, we would say the word sacrifice, maybe to the outside world, but as an entrepreneur, it's an investment. You're gaining a skill set, you're sharpening your tools, and you're investing and refining what you can actually produce. So these guys, they again, sacrifice, going to UK games, maybe their dating lives, doing a lot of the social things you would do in college to build a business. This was around the time that Facebook launched, and that's an important thing I'll say in about 30 seconds. But they started to network and try and get help from mentors, and they really struggled. Well, fast forward, the same guy that named Awesome Inc., Dr. Luke Murray, he got this idea and said, what if we go to Facebook and have Facebook try to acquire us? So they fought to Facebook, drain the business bank account. Long story short, go show up, meet a guy by the name of Noah Kagan, who started Mint.com, AppSumo, a very great communicator on YouTube. Cannot stress his material enough. They pitched to Noah Kagan, and they used a fancy tool called Microsoft Paint to make a terrible slide deck. But they pitched to him, and Noah, with people skills, was like, okay, cool. Hey guys, actually I made the same business when I was at University of Southern California. You guys had, 10,000 customers. I had 30,000. Oh, you had 8 campus partnerships. I had about 40. And just kept wanting up and not trying to be a jerk, but giving them some insight that you guys got a lot of ways to go if you're going to be serious about this. So long story short, this guy asked how much money is in their bank accounts. They had a couple $100, and he says, that's how much Facebook would actually say you're worth. So these guys came back crushed. I just summed up about 4 years in a few sentences, but what is significant is one of the first Kentucky Entrepreneur Hall of Fame inductees, Dr. Lee Todd, former president at UK, was a very successful entrepreneur, sold 2 businesses. So these guys looked up to Dr. Lee Todd a vast amount. And I'm wrapping my story up here. So they go with their tails tucked between their legs, they're pouting, they're very sad because they think that they were failures. And they talk to Dr. Todd, and he goes, boys, you're how old? You're 22, 23? Brian, you can go be a software engineer. Luke, you can go be a doctor. But I keep hearing you say that you want to be entrepreneurs. Let those things be the back door. Go and try again. And if you fail, go be a software engineer. Go be a doctor. So they started what is now, Lisa, as you know, and some of the folks on this call know, our software company, Apex Software. They got that up rolling in about a year, year and a half, and then realized, wait, we don't actually want to just run a business. We want to find, and I always feel silly saying this, the next us's. Who are the next entrepreneurs that don't have a clue what they're doing, but we know that they're there. We want to help them. So as they were building Apex, the thing that all of their early clients were asking them wasn't, oh, you went to UK. Tell me your GPA. What are your extracurriculars? Oh, you used to work at GE? What was that experience like? No, they said, oh, great, you want to earn my business. Can you show me your previous work? And they would show everyone the website, bookexchange.com, that they built. And that gave them some credibility and helped them understand, oh, everything we did was experience for where we are now. Okay. So fast forward, that was Awesome Inc. opened our doors in 2009. I'm wrapping up here really quickly. In 2009, and it wasn't until 2013 that we started the fellowship. So that said, over the years, we've had to realize, what are we trying to do? How are we trying to focus and help scale people in their businesses? Everything we do stems from our why, which is helping folks pursue their own individual definition of awesome. We're going to see 98 different companies throughout the next probably 20 minutes, because I'm going to try and be very concise, of people that are pursuing their definition of awesome. And for us, that has revolved around entrepreneurship, technology, equipping people. And then, like, the reason we have these calls and we have the different innovation hubs around our state, It's to build community. It's to foster skills. It's to bring encouragement. And that's exactly what we're doing. So that said, to the present day. Okay. So a couple all-time metrics. If you've never been to a demo day, really, it's really where we showcase and house the different folks that we've worked with over the years. We've worked with 98 unique portfolio companies. We all are versed, hopefully, in knowing that not every startup is going to succeed. So we've had a strong percentage of our portfolio either close operations and move on, or we've had another pretty profound percentage that is still present and they're building their companies. And so we're going to go through all those momentarily, I think, in the next few slides. But those founders, since inception in 2013, have brought in 240 plus million of outside investment raised and created. That's what I'm most excited about. Over 1,063 jobs. And those are the numbers, I think, when I updated this early April. So they have still been climbing. And shout out Tim Tweet, he was talking about some investment raised. But we'll get to there. So really strong portfolio. A lot of people on this call that are leading groups have been a part of these numbers in varying capacities. Here is a snapshot of the benefits of the fellowship. This is a teaser because I'm going to come back to this in about 30 slides. Yes, 30 because we're going through a lot of stories. But here's a snapshot of some of the offerings that we give founders. And one of the things that we are very proud of is having great sponsors. The Chase team, they have been very consistent at almost every single one of our fellowship demo days, supporting the business bankers for a lot of the founders that we work with. And they're very present, just like every single sponsor on the slide. And we know that the work that we do in all the different innovation hubs couldn't be done without a bunch of folks that are, giving financially of their time, of resources. And so we are very fortunate for a lot of people that are encouraging the folks that we work with, encouraging our team to continue being boots on the ground. So that said, here we go. For our startup portfolio, this was pre-Garrett's time. So there are a bunch of folks I did not have the pleasure of meeting, but go back to 2014. Here is some of the first couple of companies that we started working with. But quickly after is when we're going to start seeing a lot of stories unfold. And so we're going to have a couple slides. I'm going to highlight Hippo Manager and Mobile Serve over the next couple of slides. Again, these are the first two classes of the fellowship. But I didn't do Chris had the due diligence he deserves. He should have had about 15 other images because Chris had since 2015 has been coming physically to Awesome Inc., coming to our events, making hires, making connections. My personal selfish favorite is that Chris is the grill master at all of our startup summer retreats. And he's wearing a shirt that says do good for Mobile Serve. He is somebody that really embodies putting into a program and getting out what you put in. And the fact that for over a decade now, Chris has been a loyal friend. He got some early funding. He got some resources from Mobile Serve way back, in the day that he still is reaping the benefits and is sewing back into our organization because of the relationships that we built. Same thing for another early founder, Sam Razor with Hippo Manager. Sam got some early funding through the fellowship, through the Cherub Fund, which was the we'll say soft launch of an early stage fund, and investing $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 into some local companies for some local investors here. But Sam was a recipient of the Cherub Funds. This is again another example of early stage founders that are coming back to our retreats, investing in younger stage entrepreneurs. This was an investment acquisition panel, by the way, of some fellowship alum. But Sam is now a portfolio company of the Awesome Funds, continues to give back and is a recipient of some of the other prestigious awards. It's continually going through our portfolio. I could talk about a lot of these companies, but again, snapshots. I'm going to pick out Cloverleaf, that they have been to most of the Awesome Inc. retreats, either as keynote speakers or to come back after the fellowship to invest into the next wave of founders. Also, another company that was invested by the Cherub Fund. At least a part of this, the theme you're going to see is that a lot of these founders that they're going to have their pictures is because they invested in the relationships. They did not just go through a program to do the business KPI calls, to ask about investment, to just capitalize on some of the offerings. They realized, oh, you guys are like giving before you get. While you're helping me understand that mentality of when I go to help either my employees or my customers or work with my investors. And so it's been really, really relationally wealthy for me to experience, but also for our organization to have such strong relationships that go back across decades. So a couple snapshots as Kirsten Moorfield of Cloverleaf was a keynote speaker from our past summer retreat and one from 2019, who's also received a lot of investments. We're going to keep moving forward. You saw Kella a few slides ago, Kella with Mailhaven, fellowship company that had an acquisition years ago. Kella is pouring into a founder, Ace Hindley of TimberSync, from this past summer retreat. He led part of the conversation with our acquisitions panel. And it's just really sweet to see people, again, that have gone through the program, experience things when they were maybe green behind the ears as an entrepreneur, to years later pour back into founders because they understand the value that it brings. Another cool one, I actually spoke with Jeremiah in the past week and a former team member of his. But Jeremiah, another entrepreneur that went through the fellowship, and this is about when I joined the Awesome Week organization, that received some early stage funding from the Cherub Fund, which I mentioned moments ago. He was a recipient and won the Emerging Entrepreneur Award at the Kentucky Entrepreneur Hall of Fame induction ceremony. That's a mouthful. In 2019, is doing really, really sound work. Again, he is it's founders like Jeremiah that go to show those all-time metrics, why some of those numbers are maybe more surprising and large than we would expect for where we are in Kentucky. 2019, a lot of other cool stories here. This one is a personal favorite. When people ask me about unique companies that I've gotten to meet across the fellowship, Eric Paul is a great example. In a snapshot, Eric had an aunt who had I believe, some nerve issues and like lost mobility of an appendage. His co-founder was a former college athlete that got in a car wreck, lost use of a nerve in his arm. And actually, sorry, that was the athlete lost the use of a nerve in his arm. Eric's aunt was having some issues, probably had to have an organ transplant. And their business literally was because an organ transplantation process, at the time, it was 53% of donors were not having their organs be delivered to the recipients. So 1 out of 2 people that needed a life-saving operation, it couldn't happen. I know your response, Lisa, says it all. So these guys built a cool company. Here's an email they sent September of 2014, or sorry, of 2024, that they had an acquisition. And so they just, shot a couple of notes to some folks over at UK and in the community and our team as well that helped them along the way, that offered coaching, even well past Eric's time in the fellowship. When they had space here, they were making hires from our boot camp. So we were able to help them source some of their early stage software developers. And so again, it's notes like this. This is just some black text on a screen, but knowing this relationship, it is really special to see that our mentorship, the meetings, the friendship, the resource that we were able to help pour into these guys over the course of a year led to an acquisition a couple of years down the road and well past their time in the fellowship. 2020, everybody's favorite year. I think on the next slide, you're going to see 2 of Louisville's favorites, by the way. There we go. The forecaster guys, Stephen Plappert. He also he had some honorary shots from some of our retreats wearing some very colorful outfits, but I wanted to keep these guys looking sharp and pristine. And so these guys, they're a testament that they came through the fellowship program. They used APAC software early on, our sister company early on, as they were scaling their business. They received some early investments from the Cherub Fund. Again, this would have been well before 2020. So it's cool to see even now in this picture, they went through our program in 2020. Our Accelerator, we had monthly hands-on touches helping them in 2020. Years later, they were asked back by the team because we kept a pulse on them, their scale, their growth, what they were accomplishing as founders, and they were still moving forward in their business. We brought them back for the Kentucky Entrepreneur Hall of Fame board meeting, which is the event that happens before the big celebration dinner, where we say, entrepreneurs, inductees, Kentucky's best. Here are some up-and-coming bright entrepreneurs that we've had the pleasure of working with. And so these guys got to share their story, highlights of what they're accomplishing with Forecaster. And for us, it's a really unique opportunity because the guys who started Awesome, the folks in this room were their mentors. So now we're getting to connect folks that have gone through the fellowship to our team's mentors, and just trying to help build a strong pipeline of keeping young talent connected with the talent that realistically they could say, hey, we've met our success. We're gonna pop our feet up, go on a beach in Tahiti and have a sweet life. We want to make sure that they're getting to pour back into the next and the future generations of entrepreneurs. So that's these guys at the board meeting, and they're receiving their award from the ceremony in 2023. 2021, we had some awesome acquisitions, some portfolio companies here. But one thing I want to point out is, again, we had another founder, both who went through the Five Across and into the fellowship, was able to be present, and a company that we, a year after their time in the fellowship, was the same person or the same speaker for our board meeting. We brought a promising fellowship founder to get in front of, ideally, hopefully, future clients that they might want to work with. And so Rafi Kayat of Borderless, excellent founder, loved working with him in the fellowship, and it was just really cool, even the year after he finished, to see him come back and talk about his growth and what the fellowship had allowed and paved the way for him. Again, we're going through this. We're coming to the near end of the time going through our portfolio. But again, for me, and if anybody who's been on this call sees some of these names and the companies that you've worked with, what's really special is each of us are just little parts of these companies and their stories. So we're coming to 2023. Here's where I started moving into the fellowship program, where I was going to be more hands-on, building the relationships, acting as that very fun pseudo business consultant, cheerleader, unpaid team member. A lot of things changed, but couple ones. Most of us probably know and love our dear friend Allie Trutman. Lisa, your smile says it all. We love Allie. She's a shining example, again, like a lot of the others that I've mentioned, that they gave to a program and they got out what they put in. Allie, we first met her. She pitched at Five Across in 2023. She won the October events, launched into the fellowship maybe the day later. I forget the timeline, but launched into the fellowship. And then she went on to win the Five Across Finals 2023 competition. That's the picture of her dancing with her red shoes on the right. What was really special and very unintentionally planned is that someone brought a connection from the Walton family, the Walmart family, that was at that event, saw her win, made an investment. One of the Kentucky Entrepreneur Hall of Fame inductees was a judge as well and helped Allie also close a round that she was raising. I think it was about $1.7 million. Led Allie to becoming part of our awesome fund as a portfolio company, which I will end this conversation addressing our pipeline, how we continue moving companies through. But Allie is a shining example, went through Five Across, went through the fellowship, is part of the fund. And as of this year, I believe I mentioned it in a previous call, Lisa, she has become a sponsor for Five Across. So she's investing back into the next generation of hopefully finding the next Allies as well. But really proud of Wicked. She is maybe one of the other few golden retriever like human beings I've met as me that's got more energy. So we love her dearly. This one is going to be the first year that I was working with all 8 different companies of the fellowship. And I realized I didn't talk about some of the specifics on the fellowship, so I'll do that after the next 2 slides. But there are a lot of near and dear special moments with this class. This one is a selfish moment. If anybody knows the company Value Buddy, you know that my man Ace McGill always is dressed to the nines, he's dogmatic. He is tenacious. He's not going to let up without a fight. But Ace was, again, another founder that pitched out of Five Across early that year. About 8 months later or 9 months later, was accepted into the fellowship. So we kept that relationship pulse for that time frame before starting to work with him hands-on. And then Ace pitched in the Five Across finals, came in second, and because he's competitive, I know how that impacted him. But that also led him to drive and make a lot of changes going into 2024. That said, Ace, like a lot of other entrepreneurs, had a lot of struggles. And Lisa, one of the things that you can't really quantify when it comes to these types of programs, it's when you get a phone call from your founder friend at 7 p.m. on a Friday, and you're walking through very frustrating customer phone calls when the team is having issues, when it's a weekend and his website went down or he had a bug he had to fix and he needed some input. Hey, can you give me a referral for a software developer? That's the relationship that Ace and I had, which was incredibly special. He's someone that's maximized the offerings of the fellowship program. And because he was so willing to drive the miles from Louisville to Lexington, to hop on the call, to show up, to ask, it led to him meeting some of the Hall of Fame inductees, receiving investment from them, to becoming a portfolio company for the Awesome Fund. And we still keep in touch to today. He's tried to poach me maybe a time or two. And he's been a great friend, and it's been really cool to watch, even now, a full year and some change after his time in the fellowship, to see what he's been able to accomplish since then. And so we're coming to a close in the portfolios. Again, very, very fun class. A lot of cool stories here. I really dislike that I'm only highlighting 1 or 2 people because I could belabor a long time about a lot of these relationships. But of all the companies on here, probably the most unique one I come across is this guy, Tim Tweets. And if you don't know this, Tim is a man that has lived, I think, 15 different lives by the age he hit 30. Like it's actually quite impressive. His shirt says it all. But I remember last August when we were planning for our summer retreat, I'd never met Tim. I was added, I think, by Rachel Edenfield of Swell to the Kentucky Combinator Slack channel. I think Tim sent me a message or two about transportation for this event. I meet him and he like pulls me aside and is like, dude, what do I got to do to get into this fellowship program? Like everyone's talking about it. Never met him before, but he applied literally the Sunday morning we were leaving winter or summer retreat. And a few weeks later, after some vetting calls and talking with him on goals, it made sense to roll him into the program. So for me, that was the shortest timeline of meeting a founder, rolling them into the program, and it has just been hilarious to see the friendship that has ensued. So we got one more stop. The four companies that you're going to see that are this spring 2026 cohort. I'm going to blitz through these next couple of slides to talk about some of our programs. But one thing I did mention, or I forgot to mention, we have some benefits. We're talking about those in a few slides. But with the way we've changed the fellowship, we used to bring in companies ad hoc. As we met them, the relationship was warm, they were on the grow. We realized part of the benefit of, Lisa, you run votes, any organization that is assisting founders, it's to make sure, what do we do? We actually introduce founders to other founders. So instead of bringing on the onesie or twosies that we used to do, I believe it was around 2020 or 2021 is when we started our cohort concepts. So four companies get accepted and launch early April. We do a demo day, which I'm going to walk through here momentarily. Mid to end of April, same thing in October, we welcome and onboard four new companies. So the way it works is these core four are going through the program together and they get to lean on one another. I'm having issues with fundraising. Have you called Steve yet? Have you called this person? Hey, can you look through my slide deck? Garrett gave me some advice. I want another founder to see it. So the goal is helping these founders sharpen iron together. And that has been a dramatically beneficial increase that we've seen over the program. So I mentioned demo days. Here's a snapshot from our most recent one. And I'll be talking about these benefits momentarily, but the goal is to get rooms full of the right people. Yes, the fellowship founders, their teams, some of our local partners. I know the Team Kentucky crew often shows up, and then we have our Chase Bank sponsors. But the goal is to make these founders who are taking a risk, they've left comfort, they left security to feel like the MVP. And it's always really special. So here's what the room looks like. Usually we're ranging from 70 to 100 folks, entrepreneurs, remote workers, talent, people looking for hire. There's just a lot of the right people in the right room to encourage these founders. So in a snapshot, here's what this looks like. We have four companies that are on the way out. And again, I could belabor stories upon stories of these founders and what it's looked like, but you get to have a little like trading card like slide where you could say, hey, my name's Chris with Hogshead. Here's what I've accomplished in the last 12 months. And Chris will give updates, maybe where he started, the biggest hurdle, what he's doing in terms of value prop, and what the next couple of months look like. Same thing. We had some wonderful ladies, Janelle and Ashley with Revitalized. Fun example of a company that's continually refined over the course of an accelerator what they were doing. And I can't tell you how many times I'd be with Janelle and she would tell me, well, I'm going to try this. 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 And just to be a sounding board for her was what she needed to not feel, crazy. Sometimes the startup therapy is the biggest value add that these founders get because they get to get all the things in their head out and then realize that doesn't sound good. That may work. And so a lot of times it's letting them bring ideas to the table and then helping them execute. ACE is a great example, Lisa, talking about mentorship. ACE moved to Lexington, rolled up in our space, met with some of our team, and they thought, you're a sharp guy. We should talk to you about some of our offerings. So he got space here, went through the fellowship. Ace and his buddy Eddie, they have backgrounds in the logging industry, and I'll blitz through this. But he realized I have all the industry knowledge. I've never run a business. So we got to pair him with a Hall of Fame inductee that's helped him grow his operation. Same with Jeff. Jeff is another founder that had some co-founder alignment issues they had to work through, some value prop issues. And so for him, there was a lot of continuous refinement in what we're doing. So I'm gonna keep moving forward. I got a lot of slides intentionally, a lot of stories. The halfway folks, they get to talk about what they've accomplished from launching to the midway point. And then for all the new companies that are launching, they just get to be excited, bring their enthusiasm, share what they're working on, what they're looking to do in terms of how they're growing. And then selfishly, I wanted Jen from Pitch Please to have the big stage because she's got a fun personality from our demo day. So that said, a lot of portfolio companies that we've worked with, a lot of stories I could just talk about for hours, a lot of very valuable relationships from the program, the benefits, how we run things. The top row are going to be a lot of the resources we get. We have some of the awesome team give of their in-kind services to complete projects, design, videography, marketing, etc. Because we want the founders to take off I got to design this, I got to market this, let me take off this hat, focus on my product, my sales, growth, tap into a resource that can do this for me. That way I just get to pick and choose and customize what they're building me. It's wonderful. We have investment. We have a few different options. One of the best ones right now is our traction program. That is a partnership within Kentucky that allows fellowship companies to receive some early stage investments. And then we pair them with a mentor outside of Awesome Inc. with industry experience that could either write a check or help their company grow. And that's been really rewarding because that is building relationships that should surpass their time with Awesome. And then the bottom row is going to be a bunch of other offerings as well, but a lot of mentors, relationships is hopefully the thing that you've heard me belabor about this program because they go well on past 12 months with Awesome. But part of it is also meeting with businesses saying, cool, from this month over the next month, what are the most important priorities you have that you have to execute on? We'll talk about those. We'll talk about shifts and pivoting. If a founder comes unprepared or they didn't hit things, cool, let's look at your behaviors. Why are you not hitting those? What's going on? And for them, sometimes it's a nice kick in the pants. And then also it's a nice recalibration of, I'm just focusing on the wrong thing. That's very helpful to know. So I could belabor this, but other resources, CPA, legal, alumni giving offerings for their company services, the Awesome space, it's wonderful. I mentioned the metrics. Hopefully that sums a lot. We just drank from a fire hose, but a lot of the companies, the stories, the relationships that we've been able to offer. So on the home stretch, we're going to move from the fellowship on out of the fellowship because I think it's just as important to help people start well as to end well. So the goal is with the Awesome Fund. That is maybe the next stage in our pipeline that we want companies that are at the 5,000 monthly recurring revenue or 50,000 annual recurring revenue to apply. We want to invest back into companies in the area that are on the grow. All the blinking obnoxious rectangles right now are highlighting fellowship portfolio companies and alum. And we're really just excited about the fact that there is good seed worth sowing into here in Kentucky. And so we're looking to keep the fund growing. And then hopefully, last stop, this is I think the second to last slide, by the way, Lisa, is for the Hall of Fame, is that we want more fellowship founders to then receive investment, to grow, to then get continual recognition as future emerging entrepreneurs and future Hall of Fame inductees at the ceremony to say, look what we've built here in Kentucky, look what we've accomplished, look at how we've changed our economy. And I could belabor that point so much more, but here's a sweet slide to end on is that we have a lot of entrepreneurs that have gotten recognition for what they built here in Kentucky that have acknowledged their promise to continue moving forward with what they built. So that's it for me. We drank from a fire hose, but offerings, relationships, a lot of good resources, a lot of investments. I'm going to stop sharing, Lisa. We'll let the show keep moving on, but thanks for the time. I'll send these slides out. Happy to answer any questions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Garrett. I love how the entire Awesome family and portfolio of all of your offerings really looks at that entrepreneurial pathway, the journey. You talk about it as your pipeline and how they flow from one program to the next. In particular, to highlight is that the vast majority of the Awesome programs, given COVID, are available virtually.
Correct.
So any of our, really promising startups across the state are certainly welcome to look into any one of these particular Awesome programs right from within the region that they currently reside. I know that you've just kind of wrapped up your most recent demo day. In terms of next steps, and we do have a question there, are there key dates for applications into, let's talk about specifically the fellowship program that folks should just be aware of as you kind of anticipate beyond the summer retreat and looking at the fall cohort?
Yeah, Robert, thanks for the question. Key dates. Yeah, we have key dates. It's going to be when we launch each of those cohorts. So towards the end of both April and the end of August. But the most important question you asked is our application is on a rolling calendar. Again, I belabored relationships. The purpose is if somebody applies and you're not a right fit or not the right stage, we'll tell you, but we'll also say, here's some milestones to keep building, and we will meet with you over the course. And then when we feel like it's right timing, we'll start that conversation about the fellowship.
Good. Very helpful. Yeah. Love the fact that when we've got a number of early stage companies that have worked with our hubs, worked with other ESOs, they're looking for that peer network that can be so valuable, and that additional set of strategic introductions to a larger network of folks, particularly the Kentucky Entrepreneurial Hall of Fame members, in order to connect them to get them over the next hurdle, the next challenge, onto that level of growth. And we've got those resources right here in Kentucky. Just a logistical question. Is it an online application? Is it just simply an email to Awesome Inc. in order to start the conversation?
Yeah. Robert, the price is right. You're asking all the good questions. Yes, feel free to email me. My email is g@awesomeinc.org. Very straightforward. It is an online application, but if you want to hop on a phone call or video call, if I can answer any questions before application submitted, more than happy to do so.
Great. Perfect. Again, thank you so much for just sharing a little bit about truly another asset program in Kentucky for early stage founders. We appreciate that. Garrett, I know we've got you also, luckily, on our agenda for any other Awesome Inc. Hub highlights. It just fell that way with the scheduling, and I thought, well, let's just have you let it roll. And if you want to just talk about any other activities, highlights of Awesome Inc. that are driving your region's founder growth and success, you're welcome to do that.
Well, I appreciate it. Lisa, I did come maybe a little too prepared. I do have some more slides. So let's see if this works.
Let's do it. We want the full picture.
I appreciate you. Okay, let me reshare. Okay, awesome.
And while you're doing that, one last question. What are the terms of the fellowship program for a startup?
What are the terms?
Terms.
Yeah, good question. Robert, or actually no, Robert changed. Mark, if you can clarify the terms, I'll be happy to share and try to multitask. Christine, it looks like I still can't share, so I'll reshare this slide deck with you, and then I can share slides momentarily. But the main thing I was going to highlight, Lisa and company that is on this call, it's some of y'all were aware last year we had a pretty milestone. To go back to our pipeline event, the 5 Across Finals, where we sold out the Kentucky Theater, or just about. I looked at the numbers; it was 93% and some change, which was stupendous. It was a great time. This year, we're looking to do the same, and we have 2 of the finalists for this year's competition. So we had Jackie Jolie of Anima Soul, who pitched and won in February. We have Patrick Jacobs of Trauma Score that pitched in April. And so we have 3 other folks. Oh, Christine, you are on it. Thank you so much. But we have those 2 folks who pitched, and they have already won their, let's see, Christine, would you mind jumping down to slide 11, please, if you can? But those are the 2 entrepreneurs that have already reserved their tickets for the finals events. And then that is perfect. And then I'm going to key up if you wouldn't mind going full screen. Thank you so much, by the way. So yeah, these are the 2 faces that won. We still have 3 slots for the remainder of this year for the next one. So speaking of the 5 Across Finals, Christine, next slide, if you wouldn't mind, please. Here is a free QR code, I believe should be slide 12. There we go. For your ticket to this year's 5 Across Finals back at the Kentucky Theater. I'll leave this up for a few seconds while I talk about this. But again, the goal for us is we want to celebrate, just like everyone on this call, celebrate entrepreneurship, what we're trying to accomplish, what we're building here in Kentucky. This has been a really fun event for a lot of founders to compete and really belabor the experience of what I'm building. And it's just been really sweet to see that Kentucky's gotten on some pretty large scales just for really throwing a party. That's how I'm going to say we throw a party and celebrate entrepreneurs. So get your free ticket. They're going fast. I couldn't tell you how many are left, but I know that we've already got some large groups that are reserving their rights. So that said, Christine, if you would not mind, I had some slides on the fellowship again, just to blow past through. But if you would not mind jumping down to slide 18. So again, I talked about 5 Across a little bit. If you would not mind backing up a couple slides, Christine, that would be very, very helpful. Perfect. So we have the upcoming Hall of Fame ceremony right now. Keep a warm date for November 4th here in Lexington, Kentucky. These were some of the inductees that were nominated last year. And then the next slide is their silhouettes, because we have not publicly announced who is a recipient of this year's award. If you pay me $20, I'll tell you ahead of time. Just kidding, don't do that. But the goal is that we want to have a bunch of folks across our state be aware of entrepreneurs that have paved the way, that have gone above and beyond and really built something special here in Kentucky. So our team and some external parties and other Kentucky Entrepreneur Hall of Fame inductees are now sitting in their votes, casting totals for who's going to be inducted. So those should be public here in the near future. I think summer is when we will be
Okay.
making it public, who will be
Yep.
aware. And then next and last slide, Christine. So one of the things that you have heard on multiple of these calls for probably the last year to year and a half, Lisa and company, is we talked about university partnerships. Some of the Awesome Inc. story does start with launching e-clubs at UK and that getting some folks their grassroots, the taste of trying to be an entrepreneur. We realized that very consistently, and this is a problem that we've been addressing, and other people have experienced this. There's one student or maybe a couple students that start a business, they get some students excited about, oh, we're going to be entrepreneurs, and then it falls off. So the goal is that we are trying to start these clubs, investing to both faculty, not just professors, but more of the greater faculty, running colleges or on the more academic, the nature of a school, as well as maybe a specific professor or two to help build a program that will have a revolving door because obviously students come and go, but is going to be grounded and rooted. So thanks and huge shout out to Mackenzie Haynes and our team, who has done really, really sound work with driving to all these campuses, building relationships. One of the unique things, and this is after the Hall of Fame intentionally, and we're doing this year as well, is last year we just tried something. We threw a dart on the idea board of could we get these students that are budding entrepreneurs to meet for 30 minutes with some of the Kentucky Entrepreneur Hall of Fame inductees who they're reading about and their stories that of Unbrown Spirit that we've written, and just to watch some of these entrepreneurs take time to not do the fancy schmancy cocktail hour, meet everybody, but to carve time out and talk with the 18-year-old, the 20-year-old that's got an idea was such a unique experience because I imagine that those individuals realized this was me at their age. Oh wow, how cool is it that these students are getting poured into and getting this skill set refined, sharpened. So this is a really special picture for us, just helping a lot of entrepreneurs connect with, or a lot of students connect with entrepreneurs from their hometown. A couple of quick stories, then I'll wrap up. For example, at Berea, one of their pitch competition judges was a local business owner, Katie Starsman of Kentucky Bagel Co. Midway University was able to host one of their own alum, Jackie Jolie, who is now in the fellowship and is our 5 Across February champion. She came and spoke to their e-club. And then we wrapped up this year with an e-club leader summit where students networked before heading off for I guess summer break. But what was cool is we do these things called Founder Series. We record these entrepreneurs in the Hall of Fame, and we just get their story and we make it accessible. And so probably 25 feet to my left, Lisa, in our conference room, we got Mike Scanlon, a local Hall of Fame inductee, surrounded with a bunch of students to watch a story, and then just have Q&A. Make it very natural. And again, the goal is to help continue planting seeds into fertile grounds because we want these students now to be the entrepreneurs that then pitch at 5 Across in the next 35 years. A year or two after that, they pitch in the fellowship, and we're trying to help build a pipeline. And it doesn't have to be in Lexington. It can be all across the state. But I share that to give a little context of why we're doing the activities that we are. And it's been really rewarding to watch a lot of these things start to cycle together. And so all I'll encourage you is if you have an e-club or if you have students that are hungry, invest into them. If you have startups that you work with, send them our way. We're happy to help. And then we'd love to see you at the Kentucky Entrepreneur Hall of Fame ceremony on November 4th. So with that, Lisa, I've talked a lot. I'd love for you to also chime in today.
Thank you so much. And behind the scenes, we've got Emily Worley, who's been answering a couple of questions here just for some more clarity. Just so for everyone's benefit, Awesome Inc. does not take any equity in the companies selected to the fellowship. So Emily has provided that additional information. It is set up as a nonprofit. Funding comes from the state and other generous donors, corporate sponsors, and or separately, perhaps from Awesome Fund or other capital sources that the fellowship connects those cohort companies to. Garrett, thank you again for all of your commitment to the Kentucky entrepreneurial ecosystem, to Awesome, but particularly to all of the founders that you have served. We will certainly miss you very much. I know it's not just yet, but as the time approaches,
Yeah.
we wanted to thank you today, especially for sharing with us this great program through the fellowship, and then also the latest and greatest that's happening in the Awesome region. So thank you for that. I'm going to just jump right over back to my slides just for a couple of wrap up. There we go. All right, just to make note for everyone, as you can imagine, with the departure of Garrett, Awesome Inc. is hiring a new Innovation Hub director to lead that charge, as well as a person to look after and lead and shepherd their Awesome Fellowship program. If you have interest in that, you can certainly go to careers.awesomeinc.org and take a look at that opportunity. And hopefully we have some great candidates that are making themselves available to take advantage of that opportunity. Coming up in the next month or so, events around the state. As you know, Sprocket hosts their coffee hour every Wednesday at Sprocket, 8 a.m. Central. Amplify is hosting Build and Pitch Wednesday, May 20th. That's going to be in the evening over at the Mashup Food Hall. SOAR in the Eastern region has their founder roundtable coming up Wednesday, May 20th, as well in the morning at Faith Life Market. Tomorrow, we've got the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce Economics Summit. This is the inaugural Economic Summit. A lot of us will be there tomorrow, all day over at the Marriott Griffin Gate in Lexington. There is an entrepreneurial impact panel that will be there. Blue North is hosting their virtual series, How to Close Enterprise Deals and Founder-Led Sales as a Startup, this week over at Spark House. The Innovate Summit Conference is happening starting off in June. Wednesday, June 3rd, Amplify has their monthly venture connectors at the Science Center. Create has their Venture Bridge event coming up for their investor network June 4th at the Hub. SOAR is hosting their Startup Appalachia Accelerator Demo Day June 4th. We'll be back here Tuesday, June 16th at 11 for the next in our resource series. And as we just heard, and we'll close out with Awesome Inc. is hosting their next 5 Across Pitch competition, end of the month. That's Wednesday, June 24th. That one will be at the UK Gatton College of Business. That does it for us. Thank you so much for joining us, and I wish everybody a great day. Take care.